Hello, everyone, and welcome back to actually the first mock draft I'm doing of this year. And my father, Tony, is joining with me. It's been minutes he's been on the channel, but I know he's excited to talk about some NFL draft football. Am I right?
Always.
So, I will be having the odds picks today, as he'll be having the evens picks. There will be no trades in this mock draft, mainly because we are recording this the week before the scouting combine. We don't really know the full rumor set and all that. So we're just going to go with this with what base knowledge we have now. And it's strictly of what we would do, not what we think, what we will do. So, is everyone ready?
I hope so.
Okay, let's begin. Listen, if I'm the Tennessee Titans, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I have a full-on video dedicated to this player and how I say he is the best player in this draft. So I'm not going to waste everyone's time. It's Abdul Carter. As I click
Fair enough.
on the wrong thing there, but Abdul Carter, he's just a monster. He's just a monster you want to build around. And pairing up with Jeffrey Simmons gets you a pass rusher for the next probably 10 years and a dominant defensive front to go against a CJ Stroud and Trevor Lawrence.
Compound that with, the quarterbacks that are at the top of the draft. Are they going to be any better than Will Levis? They have a lot of the same issues coming out that he did. So I think it's either that or it's to trade out if it's Tennessee. So I agree with you 100%.
Yep. Well, who do you have for the Cleveland Browns?
I'm gonna go with Travis Hunter. So, once again, along the same lines with Tennessee, I don't think that you're in a position for taking one of these two quarterbacks who are at the top of this round, and they're going to help your team marketably. I don't think you're going to be a good team this year, no matter what, especially if you somehow lose Miles Garrett. This will allow you to build your secondary up, keep it strong, and maybe plan for next year getting that quarterback when you're going to be able to move off of the contract from hell.
And a key thing, because I actually did do an entire video dedicated about Travis Hunter on this channel, there are financial benefits for Cleveland if they move off Miles Garrett to draft Travis Hunter with name value alone. Now for the Giants pick, and listen, I can reasonably see the Titans and Browns doing this. I don't think anyone knows what the Giants are doing come April, but I'm the general manager, and listen, I'm not gonna take a quarterback here against popular belief because I think the quarterback would get killed. I'm gonna take Will Campbell from LSU. The Giants they don't have a good offensive line, and with any young quarterback, it's just a risk you can't take because they get skittish, they get afraid of the pocket, they move around, they take unnecessary hits, they throw balls too early. I just don't think in the long run it's the best move for the Giants to take a quarterback here at 3 because their team is just so many scraps in the offensive line they just need to replace.
Uh, I agree a lot with what you're saying. I just don't think that the coaching staff and the upper management has that luxury. I think they need a quarterback or they're gone. This just, I mean, if this somehow fell this way, New England is pretty much sitting pretty because there are teams that are going to be, stepping all over themselves to trade up to try to take this. But with Cam Ward being gone, that's kind of crazy. You know, I,
I threw a wrench in your
this kind of
plan.
you did because I thought that they were going to have the tackle that they needed, right? And unfortunately, you kind of messed that up. So I'm going to mess up everything else, and even though not really the hugest need, I think I'm going to take Mason Graham here. Make your strength stronger, and I love Mason Graham. So I just think that everything else at 4 might be a little bit of a reach.
Okay, well, you know how I just stole your pick, the Giants. You stole my pick of the Jaguars.
Well, I can imagine that. So
So here I am, and if I'm the Jaguars, I need to improve my offensive line. I think that's a big need. But the only guy I really think that I could draft at this point that would have a big impact for the Jaguars would be a Trevor Booker. But I just don't feel like top 5 is a slot for him. So I'm going to probably look at a different position, and I'm going to draft Tutoria McMillan from Arizona. I think he is probably the best outside wide receiver in this draft class. And they get another weapon for Trevor Lawrence. Plus, Brian Johnson Jr. did take off last year, but you can never have too many good weapons on the offense side of the football, especially when you need to please a quarterback. And you have Liam Cohen, who comes in from Jacksonville, who they had a Chris Godwin, they had a Mike Evans, they had receivers everywhere. This kind of builds off that standpoint.
you just did that so that you'd wreck my conversation where I said that I didn't see a wide receiver going in the top 10. That was just being mean. Um,
You took my
you
Mason
know,
Graham.
so the Raiders are sitting here, and Pete Carroll was like, "Tony, I love you. I don't know what you did. Thanks for always being a true fan." They're going to take Cam Ward.
So I gotta ask this as a Pete Carroll diehard fan, how happy would you be? Because you want Pete to succeed. I know that.
Oh yeah, I totally want Pete to succeed, and I think this would be that would be good. I think that he would be able to grow into the position. So yeah, I think it would be good, and Raiders fans would be like, "What in the world did just happen?" And it's Pete Carroll. He's just so amazing that good things happen. So
Raiders fans maybe deserve it with all the crazy drafts they've had that have not gone in their favor. Uh,
can you imagine? Can you imagine what Cam Ward could do with those two tight ends, though?
whew, uh, let alone like they do have like Jacoby Myers at receiver that's still really talented. It's just they would need a running back. If they get a running back, I could very well see them contending relatively soon for a playoff spot.
This was a running back deep class too.
Exactly. Now, with the Jets have one glaring problem. There's a problem with that problem. This draft does not help that problem at quarterback. So I kind of just have to take what I would just do, and that's best player on the board. I look at my board, the best player on the board is Will Johnson. And I know he's a lot like Sauce, but I don't want to reach for a quarterback here. The defensive tackle, I absolutely could go here, but do I weigh out the talent level from Will Johnson, defensive tackle? I give the edge to Will Johnson. Plus, you can never have too many elite cornerbacks in a pass-happy league.
It makes their defense that much stronger. So uh,
And
that's
people would have to actually target Sauce, which they haven't done in a year.
well, they yeah, they just wouldn't want to. So I totally get that. Carolina here. Um, they definitely don't need a quarterback, which so that they need weapons. They need a wide receiver, but really, I don't like the wide receivers here for them. Uh, so I think I'm going to pick Michael Williams.
Ooh.
Yeah.
He's down there a bit, but it's I believe it's Mikel.
Is
Um,
it okay?
Talented edge coming from Georgia. It makes sense with what the Panthers need.
Yeah,
Now,
exactly.
the Saints, I don't know what they're going to do come April. This is a team that, as you discussed, trade up. I could see them trading up for Cam Ward. That one shocked me a bit. I could see them taking a running back here in Ashton Genty with Kellen Moore coming from Philadelphia. They had great success with that. But this team needs so much help.
I could also see them trading down to try to get more picks because they have so many holes to fill.
They need to rework this roster. And I feel like they need to do it with the interior of their D line. And I just want to go out on a limb. Man, I'm either going to look like a genius or not, but because this is our own rankings, this is my own player. I'm putting this high. TJ Sanders from South Carolina. I know it's off the
Wow.
board. He will not go this high come April. I watch his film. I see a guy that has traits to become an elite pass rusher in the NFL who can cause havoc in the interior of the D line, which will give quarterbacks more issues because a quarterback hates a rush from the interior.
Didn't see that one coming at all. Uh, which I mean is definitely okay. I think with that being said, I think Kelvin Banks from Texas to Bears. I mean, let's they you could throw a dart at a dartboard for an offensive lineman, and they need them. So, um, I think we'll just go with Banks. He's a junior, but he's got good footwork, and he's big and strong, and
So this just needs to be asked real quick because I'm the one less likely to take a running back round one this draft. The Bears make sense for Ashton Genty. Did you consider that at all?
to the Bears. Yes and no. I really like Swift. And they actually have drafted some backs that, they have a pretty good stable of backs. The problem is they don't have any offensive line to make holes for them, right? And so I see what you're going with Johnson coming over, giving him that premier. But look at the offensive line in Detroit.
Okay.
So.
Okay, well, we're not going to spend too much time on this pick, but the answer is Tyler Booker for the 49ers. They need to rebuild their offensive line. It's been so reliant on an old Trent Williams, and especially their interior guards. They have a Pooney, who I really like. That's kind of it. They are a team that's currently on the decline when you look at their age. They need to restock shelves, and they should start with restocking the offensive line.
Who did you just take?
Tyler Booker, the guard from Alabama.
Okay, gotcha. I heard Tyler and I must have blanked out and I was like, Tyler Warren, how's that offensive line? But I'm sorry.
But that would terrify you.
As a Seahawks fan, that would not be good. Dallas is sitting here and Dallas is going to take the running back. Um, and this is, you could say, oh, is that a pick you would pick or is that a pick that you think they'll pick? And honestly, it's both. I value running backs far more than you do. Um, I might have taken Booker if you hadn't, simply because of Martin leaving. But um, other than that, I think that you need that explosion. He's good in the backfield. He's great after contact. And he is something that the Dallas fans can get behind that they really haven't had for the last couple years.
So it's what you're saying is we almost had a swap between 11 and 12 picks because I nearly did give the 49ers Genty.
That would be terrifying too.
And the reason why is I don't think CMC has much left in it. Like you look at the injury history, they're stacking up. Lower body injuries don't go well. And if there's a team I trust to make a running back really efficient, yeah, it's San Francisco 49ers and Kyle Shanahan. But we look at how these teams are building, and a stretch we're going to see right now is teams need to get better in the interior line, in tackles. Lines are not good right now, which is why I don't care with what the Dolphins think they need. They need offense line help. I'm taking Josh Simmons from Ohio State. Just get this line fixed. I am sick of screaming about it every draft cycle. I've been yelling about it for the past, I feel like, 10 years. Fix it.
Well, Indianapolis, I mean, everybody is going with uh, Tyler Warren here. And I get it, right? I mean, he could be a best friend for Anthony Richardson, but I'm not as I guess I think that he is the second best tight end in this class. That being said, I'm super high on Starks, and their secondary was needing some work last year. So Malachi Starks to him.
Makes a lot of sense. Ironically, he's not my favorite safety in this class, but he might be the best safety, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, it does.
Uh, Listen, I'm not going to waste time because again, I made a video about this. This needs to happen. It may not have to necessarily be this player. Just draft an edge, Atlanta. Draft an edge. Your fan base is practically on their hands and knees begging for it. Draft James Pierce Jr. Draft any edge in the first round for everyone's mental sanity.
So who are you taking?
James Pierce Jr.
Okay. You said or anyone, so that's why I was just
Well,
double checking.
anyone from the first round of this draft class might be an improvement over who the Falcons had last year.
That's 100% correct. So we're with Arizona, and they pass.
Come on, make the pick.
Uh, you know what? This might not be a popular pick. They need wide receiver help, but
You're
I'm
not
gonna
allowed
give
to
them
draft a kicker to a division rival.
no. I'm gonna give them Colston Loveland.
Ooh.
And my reasoning for that is look how well they attack the field with their tight ends. And I just think that a lot of teams are playing two, and they do like to play two tight ends, right? And so the problem is right now they've got one receiving tight end and they've got one guy that's not a receiving tight end. And this gives you more of a, which devil are you going to pick? So this terrifies me, and God forbid, I hope they don't do that. But I think that's a heck of a way to attack the middle of everybody's defenses.
Yep. And hey, if anyone wants to check out a video about Colston Loveland, that's on this channel. As I predicted, he'll fall a little bit shorter of this expectation in the draft selection process, but very talented player. Now, I have to pick here because if there's a video coming out on Monday, this before we're recording this, like we're recording this before it comes out on Kenneth Grant, I predict him going to the Bengals. I don't know if I can pass up Walter Nolan here. Even though I love Kenneth Grant on the Bengals, I kind of feel like Walter Nolan's the guy here. I have a great grade on him. I think he's a tremendous talent. He has all the potential, in my opinion, to also develop pass rushing traits. I don't like him as much as a Mason Graham or TJ Sanders, crazy as that sounds, but I do really like Walter Nolan a bunch.
I agree with you 100% that you should take Walter Nolan right there.
Yep, because I know who you're taking here.
Kenneth Grant.
Mm-hmm. He's just a football player. Kenneth Grant is a football player who he's a big boy. He is 6'3", right around 330, but he moves well for his size. He's strong, powerful. I could go on about him.
And stick him on the Seattle defensive line and see, with what they have currently, that they have a run wall then.
Yeah, so I'm looking at this and man, I could go a couple ways. I desperately think the Bucs need pass rushing help. But there's this voice in my head that's screaming, fun, 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 fun. And I can't pass it up. Give me Tyler Warren on the Bucs, man. Highly athletic tight end. Baker Mayfield loves his tight ends. Go all over the place. It just sounds so fun.
So that's interesting. I honestly, because I'm just assuming that they're going to be minus some receivers. I think in free agency this year, I really think Luther Burden would go really well there. I do. To be quite honest, he's my favorite receiver in this class.
I love Luther Burden, and I have hammered home him. I have a video that I project him as a top 10 player. I love Luther Burden, but as much as I say that, I don't know if he fits Tampa because I view Burden as mainly a slot receiver. Where Tampa, I think they need more of an outside receiver help. And also with Tampa, I just want Tyler Warren to have fun, and like that's just a fun offense for him to be in.
But Chris Godwin played the slot. I mean, that's where he was most effective.
But they
So
also
that's what I'm saying.
McMillan came in last year and looked really good from the slot after Godwin
I
got
think you
injured.
could slide McMillan on the outside a little bit better. So that's just personal preference. So uh, I'm at the Denver Broncos, and I'm bummed because I started to get a little gig here. I thought that I was gonna pick the Steelers, and I was just gonna mess with you a little bit. Uh,
Hey, you picked the evens. I wanted the evens.
I know. Um, So, I mean, obviously the Broncos have a lot of needs as well. Um, I'm going to give them Luther Burden. So, I just he is a playmaker. He can take those short passes and guess, and that's what Bo Nix does. He those quick out passes, and he can make yards after the catch. So, I think that's who I'm going to go with there.
So, as a Steelers fan, I was maybe a little hopeful Luther Burden would fall, but also I just don't know if I could take a receiver here. When I look at the Steelers' biggest need, in my opinion, is D line. Cam Hayward's aging out of the league a bit. Unfortunately, he still is very good, fine glass of wine, but father time comes for everyone. So I look here. Derek Harmon's a guy a lot of Steelers fans really want. I'm just not fully there yet. I think he's more of a mosh pit of second round guys for me. I like the idea of Shamar Stewart, but I don't feel like he's like that defensive tackle that the Steelers need. And I just go down the list and I'm like, well, you could go Darius Alexander, but I'm not too familiar with him. So I'm going to have to ignore what I feel is the biggest need because the board didn't fall my way. I know a lot of the Steelers fans want Emeka Ibuka. I'm sorry. I have guys on the board graded higher than him, and I'm still not going receiver. Instead, I'm going to go, and I feel like I'm going to mispronounce his name, Jedi Barron from Texas. I really like him. Good corner. The Steelers need someone opposite of Joey Porter Jr. I think he fits their system. He's a little handsy, physical. I think he just fits being a Steeler.
Now, isn't it somebody? Didn't somebody just say something about him the other day to the Steelers?
Zip it.
Okay. All right. So the Los Angeles Chargers, and I cannot believe that this person is still on the board. I'm going to take Jalen Walker and walk away happy. You know, if I'm the Chargers, we don't know what's going to happen with Joey, and so and you know Bud Dupree might be a cap casualty as well. So they're definitely going to need pass rush help. So I think we're going to just go like there and
I don't think Bud Dupree's in the Chargers. I think he's a Falcon.
oh, I could have swore that he was a Charger.
You might be thinking about Khalil Mack. I don't know. But
No. I think Khalil Mack is going to stay. He's like
really,
30, 39 going on 25. So, you know.
yeah. So here I am with the Packers, and oh boy, there's a guy here that I predicted that I just gave them in a YouTube video that I really liked, and I went into great details about Shamar Stewart. The Packers, they haven't hit the edge rusher like they've been trying to hit. Lucas Van Ness, we were both very high on him, hasn't hit the peak that we thought he could be yet. We look at a guy like Rashawn Gary, very talented, but has struggled with health issues. I also don't necessarily think you have to line Shamar Stewart up as an edge. I think he can play a bit more interior, especially on a 4-3 Packers D line. Would be a good presence in the interior to go against these run heavy teams like the Vikings, Bears, with Ben Johnson coming over. I assume he's going to bring over a lot of that run stuff, and the Lions.
That's, man, there's nothing wrong with that thinking. Like, you know. Um, so that's now this is a tough one. So with the Vikings, because it's going to be interesting to see. how, what they're going to do at quarterback, whether they're going to extend or not, right? And how about Princely? And I'll mess his name up.
Amon Mielen.
Yeah, how about him? They need edge help. They could not get much room on the passer, and I was torn between him or going offensive line, but I think we might be, with the exception of uh,
Membu.
Membu, yeah, which I think he's going to end up being a guard anyway. So uh, I thought let's give him the edge right now.
Well, we agree on Membu. I think he's a guard as well. You know who needs interior line help? The Houston Texans. So we're going to take Armand Membu to the Houston Texans and just try and make sure CJ Stroud doesn't get murdered every single week like he was this past season.
Well, there you go. The Rams kicker.
No division rivals draft a kicker in the first round.
Um, you know, so here's the thing: the Rams they have a lot of need at offensive line now with Noteboom and Jackson. I think they're going to try to do something in free agency. We also just saw today that they've given Stafford opportunity to go seek a trade, right? Um, so that creates.
You
So
think I will say I don't think they'll be picking here come April. If they do move Stafford, it will be a pick swap. It'll be a move that like the team who acquires Stafford also gets 26. Meanwhile, they get their first round pick and they move up.
and that's excuse me, that's possible. Um, I think so. Here's the thing. I'm not a huge Shador Sanders fan, so I'm trying to decide right now if I picked him here specifically because I don't think that he's going to be, Matt Stafford. Um, but their passing game, you don't need the huge arm. You need a guy that's going to stand in there that's accurate. I'm going to give him Shador Sanders.
I would ask this though, when you look at how his offense was very much at Colorado, RPO, screen based, doesn't that give you a little bit concerned adjusting the NFL when he actually has to go through his pass progression instead of just give me layup throws?
But what has the Rams offense morphed into? A run first offense, right? And so that'll RPO. You can play off the RPO, and you can add with the mad scientist. You can add another layer to your offense. So we'll see. But that's what I did.
Yeah. All I'll say is Shador was not going if I had a single pick. I would have looked at receiver before I would have looked at quarterback with the Rams. But we're with the Baltimore Ravens, and I just kind of feel like this is a Ravens pick in taking Mike Green. Talented edge, falls on the board, very versatile. And here's the thing with the Baltimore, they will let their edges walk in free agency. They don't mind letting them walk because they know how to draft and develop the position extremely well.
True, true. The Lions. Oh boy, the Lions. So the Lions obviously need edge help there, and so looking at the board, Shamar Stewart.
It's off.
But okay, that's right. My bad. I did not mark him off. They could use some offensive line help, but I think I'm going to go Derek Harmon.
Not bad. Okay. So this is where I start to struggle and think because I think the biggest need for the Commanders would be tackle. I see Zabel here. I don't think he's a tackle. I think he's a guard. Josh Connerly Jr. I haven't watched too much of him. From what I've seen, he's looked good, but I don't feel comfortable taking guys I haven't seen too much of. But I have seen a lot of one guy, and I'm gonna mispronounce his name. I apologize to everyone. Donovan Izaraku. You want to talk about a guy that plays with his head on fire? Whew.
Hmm. Well, there you go. So I know you told me to watch him before the draft today, so I had a feeling you were going to draft him, but to be quite honest, I didn't get a chance to look at him. So epic fail on my part. So I mean, now we're at Buffalo. Buffalo definitely needs interior defensive line help, but they got picked apart um, offensively as well. On in the back line of the defense. So it's really really tough to see who they should do. But Ravel's still on the board, right?
Siobhan Ravel, yes.
Yeah. All right, they're going to take him. They need secondary help big time.
Okay. This is another kind of easy pick for me. Chiefs need offensive line help. That was very evident in the Super Bowl. I would say they're probably going to let Trey Smith Jr. walk. I look at their interior line. They need another guy, and I would say Gray Zabel fits in there. Now, do I obviously have concerns about FCS jump to NFL? Absolutely. But Zabel looked very good in his game against Colorado. He looked phenomenal during the FCS season, was really good against a very talented FCS Montana State school defensive line. I think Zabel is someone that can very much work with Andy Reid. He's powerful, but has some good movement skills. I think he would be a very good guard for the Chiefs in the future.
And we'll finish off the Eagles with what do the Eagles do best? They just wait wherever they're going to be, and they get what some could consider a draft steal. And Emeka is still on the board. Am I correct?
And Mecca Igbuka is still on the board.
Well, they're going to take him. They're going to run into some issues with, salary cap sooner rather than later. And to have a third receiver like that, I think would help them immensely, in a year or so when they need to make a decision to move off of some money.
And that's very fair. I like other receivers more than I like Igbuka. I truly feel like he was a product of his system. We look at this draft. There's a couple things I can clearly see we disagree on. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be like, TJ Sanders that high, you're smoking something. But there's guys like I'm lower on than I see here, like a Prince Monmielen, a Shador Sanders, just those type of players, which I just don't have great grades for. Meanwhile, there were guys I have higher grades on that I just didn't pick. I look at like Eilmanor and Trey Harris that I just didn't draft a lot of receivers in this draft, and they just kind of fell to the second round for me because I looked at how the board fell and I picked with how the board looked.
Understandable, right? So, and I think it's, there's so many. There are so many issues so far as what's this team going to do? What's it going to be in free agency? I mean, free agency is coming up, and it could completely, you know, change how it is, right? Where's Aaron Rodgers going to go? Where's Sam Darnold going to go, right?
Matt Stafford,
And
if he gets moved, like
if Matt Stafford gets moved, and that was the thing. That's one of the reasons why I did what I did, because they've got some money things that they're going to go, and so if they go with a rookie quarterback, they got the golden child there to be kind of like a bridge quarterback. Um, and then they could either they trade Stafford or they just cut him, right? And so it's a hard decision to make, but if in that offense, Shador is very, very similar to like what Brock Purdy does, right? Short, quick throws. He did get sacked a lot, but their offensive line was horrible. So, when you have those offensive minds that are teaching their quarterbacks how to get in and get out, I just if he's going to go somewhere and be successful, he's going to have to go somewhere with the offensive mind, and that'll play to his strengths. And that's one thing about the Rams is they always, make their offense to follow along the lines of the strengths of their players.
There's just one more thing I'd like to add before we wrap this up, and that would be the NFL is a copycat league. They all saw what the Eagles did in the Super Bowl, and they all either want to do that or prevent that. I very much think that we see teams just go heavy on the line play. Defensive line, offensive line, interior. I think that's going to be a big crucial thing we see in the NFL draft and in free agency in the next coming months. But that's going to wrap us up for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel and you really like it, hit that subscribe button. Hey, there's going to be a playlist at the end of this video. It's going to have all the NFL draft content that's been created on this channel. It's going to have the most recent upload as well. Thank you everyone for watching. Have a great day, and let's let the draft season begin.